Fast and Furious is back, and it's as crazy and hilarious as you would expect after the trailers that we've got. Welcome back everyone to a new movie review, and here we have the long-awaited, or not awaited depending on how you see the franchise right now, Fast 9. I think we should expect to see some aliens by now, because they really did it. They fulfilled the memes. They literally took their action to space. The franchise isn't taking itself seriously anymore, and the producers know this very well, and they know that the audience will still keep watching them, because that's how the franchise has been known, to amp up its action scenes and to come up with new cool and crazy stuff or crazy stunts that they're going to produce with every part that comes out. And I think they started exaggerating their scenes, for me at least, from the 6th part, and in particular after this scene. Then they did it again in the 7th part.
Thing about street fights, the street always wins.
And it kept going on in this exaggeration track in the 8th part and in Hobbs & Shaw spin-off as well, with Super Idris Elba and The Rock literally pulling down a helicopter using brute force. And they do it again in this one in a very ridiculous way as well, like how Vin Diesel literally goes Tarzan with the car and swings it from one mountain to another, and then another scene where with a car driving on a falling road bridge. To be honest, that scene was disrespectful. It was like a slap on the face to action movie lovers, because as much as I understand that with every part that comes out they're trying to level up the action and bring us cooler scenes and more crazy stunts, but the more you push on with the limit, you're bound to get to a point where it just becomes too ridiculous. It takes away from the entertainment of the movie itself. It just makes the movie feel forgettable in the end. And they also kind of made the main characters superheroes too. Like there's a scene of Vin Diesel literally grabbing on 2 chains and bringing down or collapsing a concrete ceiling. And Roman also was in one scene where he was surrounded by soldiers from every direction. He was kind of like in a destroyed room, and he was on the bottom floor, and the top floor was like broken and open, and the soldiers surrounded him from every direction, like from the bottom floor and top floor, and all of them were carrying machine guns. And you would think at that point that there is no way anyone in any action movie, not even Rambo himself, would survive that. But somehow Tyrese, with his relatively less experienced compared to these soldiers, he picks up a machine gun and shoots every single one of them and kills them all. There was a scene, however, where Roman was talking to Tej about all the dangers that they have been through and all the challenges that they have encountered without even a scratch on them, and how somehow that implies that they might be superheroes or they're invincible. And the scene was made in kind of a funny way, and I thought that this part was kind of a way of the movie to make the viewers not think too much about these scenes or these crazy scenes, or try to make sense of them, but just pass them on as entertainment. It was kind of like the movie was saying, don't pay too much attention to it, just let it go and enjoy the show. But to be honest, despite everything that I mentioned, despite all the craziness, but still because of the action and because of the actors that we like, as an audience we would still watch these movies, and we will continue to probably watch them until the end, just to see how the story is going to end up like. But I think on the other side as well, the fact that this movie in particular focused so much on the action set pieces and leveling up or amping the action in it to the point that it neglected everything else. When it comes to the drama, when it comes to the comedy aspects, they felt very neglected, and there wasn't much of an effort put into them. I mean, to be honest, the acting, I have to say, was very weak and obvious, and you wouldn't feel the strong emotions and presence from the characters this time, even for the main protagonist. The only actor or actress I think that still kept their ground and they had their presence and they put an effort into their character was Charlize Theron. I mean, she's always a natural. If you put her on the side of the good guys or the bad guys, she gets it down always. For the others, however, Vin Diesel, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, they were pretty good and convincing and immersed into their roles in the previous parts. But in this part, they didn't seem to take their characters that seriously, and it kind of just made the movie fall flat and dry in the end. And in some scenes, you felt like the actors weren't even making that much of an effort, but just saying their lines to get it over with. Even in the dramatic scenes, especially when Han appeared again and met everyone, that scene just didn't feel strong or captivating for a character that was supposed to be too important for the Fast family. Coming then to the practical effects, which were really good in some parts, but then there was a lot of noticeable CGI, compared to the parts before. I mean, talking about leveling up and amping up everything, it's not just the action, it's not just the crazy scenes or the amazing stunts and all of that. It's even the CGI. There's too much of it in this one compared to the other parts or the previous parts. There is one cameo of Cardi B in this one, and I get that they do that in these movies sometimes to kind of put a little flavor into the movie's atmosphere. I mean, they did it with Hobbs and Shaw when they introduced Kevin Hart in one scene, and it was nice. Like I liked it. It was good. But I don't know, Cardi B just didn't fit the role that she was in at all. With all the craziness and the exaggeration in this movie, at least if they had put her in a role that suits her personality and style, it would have made much more sense. I mean, it would have made the movie a little bit more memorable, at least, I mean, it's nothing against Cardi B herself. She's very funny and hilarious when she's on screen. But in this one, the role that she was given just didn't fit for her. It was so random and didn't make sense. I mean, the way she was introduced with her group of women doing rescue missions just looked like something straight out of a music video for Cardi B, or a music video that she was featured in. If she was actually in a music video doing that, with a scene like that, that would have made much more sense. I mean, at least the fans would want to see her, doing some crazy stuff with machine guns, doing some action scenes and stuff like that without paying much attention to the story. They wouldn't care about the story. They just want to see her singing and dancing and doing her thing. But in this one, because there's a story, the way she was presented in it just didn't make sense. Then coming to the movie's villain or enemy, and it's again done in a very Fast and Furious cliche style. He appears to be the biggest enemy the Fast family has ever encountered, but then in the end, while they're fighting him, they do something for him, and all of a sudden he has a change of heart and he starts fighting on their side. I mean, we've definitely seen that before in the 5th part when Hobbs was chasing them, and when he captured them and then he got ambushed by the bad guys in that movie, and the Fast family basically rescued him or saved him from being killed. He changed sides and started fighting for them. Then we saw it again with Decade Show, who was supposed to be their worst enemy, but then turned and started fighting for their side. I mean, the scenario is just becoming too repetitive at this point. And I know with everything that I just said, I made it sound as if it's the worst movie ever, but really it's not. I mean, to be honest, it was actually entertaining nevertheless. The things that I could talk about in detail were the changes that I noticed in this one compared to the other ones, and most of these changes just weren't very appealing, to be honest, and they didn't carry the movie to the level it was meant to be, or the level that at least it was intended for. And to be honest, the good aspects about it that still kept the movie entertaining and on the level that it's known at, however, were pretty much the same aspects from the parts before, like the action, the soundtracks, the chemistry between the characters, the comedy in some parts, and some of the practical effects. All of these aspects held the basis of the movie and maintained that good level to still make it a good sequel in the end. I would just say tone down the exaggeration action and keep it to a reasonable level, like Fast 5. Because to me that was perfect. The action was very reasonable and it was very enjoyable. It was, I think, the only part that I didn't feel at some point that it was going over the top. I felt that Fast 5 was the most perfect for me in terms of crazy action, but keeping it to a reasonable level, and focus more on the drama and the comedy aspects as well, just so they don't seem to be neglected like in this one, just to put some balance in the tone of the movie altogether. And so to my final rating of the movie, and in this time I changed the way I do my rating and just increased it from out of 5 to out of 10 to make it a little bit easier to be more precise on rating and kind of determine how much I like it basically. And instead of numbers, I'll be using popcorns this time, just to add a little bit of flavor. So putting together all the details of the good and the bad sides of this one, I would still give it 6 out of 10 popcorns. This I think is the least rating that I've given to a Fast and Furious movie, apart from Tokyo Drift. If I'm ranking the Fast and Furious movies, the worst one obviously was Tokyo Drift. Second one I think would come in would be this one, the 9th part. And there's obviously going to be 2 more sequels, which means Fast and Furious 11 will be the last part, and I hope the changes that they're going to make for the 10th and the 11th ones to be realistic. It's good to level up the action, produce more crazier and action set pieces, but it's just as important to keep it at a decent and reasonable level to, to just make it watchable and enjoyable, especially for the people who've been following the franchise from the first part, The Fast and the Furious, and it's been 20 years since the franchise started, because it's obviously not just about the action, but the story and the drama and the comedy and the chemistry between the actors. All of these things play their parts in the movies. So yeah, I hope they really pay more attention to these aspects in the next parts. And yeah, if you guys liked this review and you wanted to share your thoughts, or you wanted to discuss some of the aspects that I mentioned here, whether you agree or disagree, please drop your ideas in the comments below. I would very much love to hear your opinions and see whether you liked the movie or you hated it, what aspects drew you more into the movie or pushed you away from liking it. And until I see you all in the next video, you all have a good day, stay safe, and peace out.